Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining. Some happened. Okay, now what I have to do? Somebody. Okay, we have to do on the listeners group.
What do you want to do?
Yeah,
I'll send the link on the listeners group. Don't worry.
You please give me back host or host, whatever.
Okay, ma'am. I'll make you host.
Host, co-host, anything is fine. Okay.
Okay, I've given you host. I'll go and put the link on the thing.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining. Sorry for delay. And now we will get started with our Bhakti Vaibhav session. I hope your second module was okay. You all have given all your closed book exams. Hope it was not tough. And please start working on your OBA also, those who have not started. Open book exam, the essay writing. Okay, and we'll start with our second canto. Already started, but we'll continue.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Uploading link, it is ready, Mataji. Open book answers. Where should we upload it? Because it is not coming in the dashboard. We are not able to.
Okay, but you are ready. You all should be ready as soon as we'll fix the problems, this dashboard problem, and then we'll send you the link and there you can upload it. Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you.
Mataji, open book was there, only shloka test was not there, right?
Open book is there, you have done?
Yeah, Mataji.
Okay, so Padmini Mataji.
I think I did shloka also. Let me quickly check. Or my shlokas are ready. Let me check.
Padmini Mataji, they are saying that it is ready, so you can check.
The dashboard, Mataji? I touched. Okay, Mataji, I will check.
Let's start with our Mangalacharan, please. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं भंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातं हम वन्दे श्री गुरु दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll share my screen. You have covered the first 6 verses of the very first chapter. That is the first step in God realization. It starts with the invocation Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And then Shuka Goswami, Sukhdev Goswami, he starts. Remember what were the 2 questions? Anyone remember the 2 questions that were asked by Parikshit Maharaj in the previous chapter? Anyone wants to raise their hand? Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mata.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Padmini Mataji.
No, the one question we can remember is what is that good for all the human beings here, and the second one is what we should remember at the time of death.
So yes, what is the most profound duty of a person who is dying? And in common, what is the duty of a person? What person should do? So yes, these 2 were the questions, and specifically Sukadev Goswami was happy when he asked about dying man, because as Prabhupada mentioned that every person is dying. We are dying at every moment. So yes, Parikshit Maharaj was very fortunate that he got 7 days, but we all are not that fortunate. So Sukhdev Goswami says that your question is glorious. Why? Because it is beneficial to all kinds of people, and the answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. And he says that those persons who are materially engrossed, this is a very important shloka also. It's not a memorizing shloka, but it is very important. Shrotyavadani Rajendra Nirnam Shanti Sahasrasa Apashyatam Atma Tattvam Griheshu Griha Medina. That whether a person is materially engrossed like Griha Medina, being blind to the knowledge of Atma Tattva, the ultimate truth, may have many subjects. He may have many subjects of hearing in human society. Those who are materialistic people, they can talk endlessly on any topic, right? Because they are materially engrossed. But then he says the lifetime of such an envious householder is passed at night either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in daytime either in making money or maintaining family members. So they don't have Krishna consciousness in their life. So therefore, Sukhdev Goswami is saying that they have endless time to talk endlessly on any mundane topic. They don't have time to talk about God consciousness or Krishna consciousness, but they have time for all the materialistic talks. Why? Because they are materialistic people. So therefore he says, persons who are devoid of Atma Tattva, they do not inquire about the problems of life. And what are the real problems of life is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. They don't worry about these problems. They worry about their own petty problems which they come across in their day-to-day life. Not understanding that this life is temporary, so the problems are also temporary. Happiness is temporary, miseries are temporary. They don't understand. because they think that this life is all in all. It is eternal. It's not going to end. So they don't inquire into the real problems of life, but they worry only about their own problems of life. Being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the bodies, children, and wife. See how Prabhupada is writing. These are the Shaineshu, Atma Shaineshu. Sukadev Goswami is saying, they are the soldiers. Our spouse, our family, our possessions, our children, our own body. What is all this? These are all soldiers, but they are fallible soldiers. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. They are apashyan. They are not able to see. Then therefore, Sukadev Goswami starts tasmat. Don't be like that, those grahamedis. Don't be like those materialistic persons who are engrossed in all the materialistic things. Tasmat Bharata, O descendant of Bharata, O Maharaj Parikshit, O king. Tasmat, therefore, for this reason, Sarvatma Bhagwan Ishwaro Hari. So therefore, you have to get involved into God consciousness. Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvara Hari. And what you have to do is Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Ichchatabhyam. That you have to listen, you have to Shrotavya, you have to hear about him. Kirtitavya, you have to glorify him. Smartavya, you have to remember him. And then only you will get abhayam, you will get freedom from all kind of fears. This is the fear only for all the materialistic person. They have the fear in their heart. And that's why they are always into so much of anxiety. And they think that their problem is the greatest problem because they have the fear of losing something. But if we want to become abhayam, then we have to always think about the Supreme Lord. Here, the three categories of the Supreme Lord is being mentioned, the three aspects of the Supreme Absolute Truth. So he's saying Ishvara Sarvatma. Sarvatma means the Paramatma, the Super Soul who is in the heart of every living entity. Then Ishvara is, again, you can say the controller or the Brahman aspect. And Bhagavan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is referring to all those, that whether you are in Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, or Bhagavan realization, irrespective of that, you have to get involved into Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, Smartavya. You have to involve into hearing about the Supreme Lord, glorifying him, and finally remembering him. Then only one will be freed from all kinds of miseries. Now text 6, from where we have to start. So we'll start from text number 6. Let me close all those windows. Yeah. Text 6. एतावन् साङ्ख्ययोगाभ्यं स्वधर्मपरिनिष्ठया जन्मलाभः पुंसाम् अन्ते नारायणे स्मृति. So in the previous verse, as Sukhdev Goswami says, that Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, Smartavya, 3 things he mentions. That you have to hear about the Lord, you have to glorify the Lord, and you have to remember the Supreme Lord. And then he says, all these activities, whether somebody is in the Sankhya Yoga, whether one is in Sankhya means the analytical study of the Supreme Lord, or one is in the Yoga. Yoga means the mystic powers. Or somebody is doing one's Swadharma, that is karma kanda activities, carrying out their occupational duty. So 3 things. Whether one is in the Sankhya platform, completely understanding the knowledge of matter and spirit through analytical study, or somebody is in the practicing yoga and of mystic powers, or if somebody is performing one's occupational duties, sadharma, any of these three, if one has to achieve the epitome of these platforms, parinishthaya. Parinishthaya means getting accomplishment in the path they are following. Getting accomplishment means all perfection if somebody wants in there. And janma labha parapamsa. And also they have to gain something in their at the end of their life. Janma labha, the means they want to fulfill the birth, because getting this human form of life is the rarest of opportunity. So he's saying if you want to sarthak karna hai apne janm ko, means if you want to really become perfect in your life, janma labha parapamsa, then what you have to do at the end, ante narayana smritihi, then you have to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the end of the life. So what here Sukhdev Goswami is saying, that if persons, they are doing jnana, karma, or any other process, any of the process, they have to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know that those who are on the Jnana Marg, on the yoga platform, on the yoga marg, means Ashtanga Yoga Marg or Karma Yoga Marg, the perfection of their yoga can only be achieved if they are involved in some kind of bhakti process. A person who is in Jnana Marg, and what is the accomplishment that a jnani wants is to merge into the Supreme Personality of Godhead, means to merge into the Brahman aspect. But merging into that Brahman aspect won't happen just by walking on the Gyan process, on a Jnana Marg. One has to have bhakti, the tinge of bhakti in it. Only then one can accomplish the process in which the person is walking, the path that the person has chosen. So for the jnanis, for the yogis, or for the karmis to attain success in their birth, janma labha, can only happen when there is pure bhakti, when there is remembrance of Narayan, ante Narayana smriti. Otherwise, it won't happen. And when these devotees, when these transcendentalists, Prabhupada always called them transcendentalists, because yes, they are transcendentalists. They understand the futility of this world. So Prabhupada says that these transcendentalists, when they come in the contact of the pure devotees, only then they realize, and then they take up this process of bhakti yoga. Like we see in the case of the four Kumaras. There's four Kumaras, they were Brahmavadis. But then what happened? They come in contact with the smell of the tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Narayan. And then their heart got changed. Then we have Navayogendras. And Navayogendras, they were also in Shanta Bhav. But then they also come in contact with the pure devotees. And finally, the way they preach to Nimi Maharaj, 11th canto is there. That gives us the evidence how Navayogendras, they preach Nimi Maharaj on this process of Bhakti Yoga. And then finally, for the Karma Yogi, we see the example of Prachin Parishad. He was doing all the Karma Kanda activities, performing all sacrifices. And finally, Narad Muni came and he said, "What are you doing?" And then he preached him. And finally, the Prachin Parishad understood what he was doing. So the point is that you have to come into the contact with the pure devotees. Only then any of the process that you are following, whether it is jnana, karma, or yoga, it has to end with ante Narayanam smriti. Only then the spiritual attainment can be achieved. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty. It is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life.
Thank you, Mataji. So it is to remember Ante Narayana Smriti, to remember the Supreme Lord. Is a very beautiful verse that will come up in next few chapters, where it says, Etavan eva yajatam iha nishrayodaya bhagavati achalo bhav yad bhakta bhagavata sangata. That you have to get involved in Bhagavati achala bhav, in the firm devotion towards the Supreme Lord. But how this achala bhav? Achala means that cannot be moved. Unflinching faith, unflinching devotional, spontaneous attraction towards the Supreme Lord. Bhagavati achala bhava. How one can come to this level? Only yad bhagavata sangha. Only when one associates with the Bhagavad Bhav devotees, with the association of pure devotees who have that Achala Bhav towards the Supreme Lord, that unflinching devotion towards the Supreme Lord. Only through that one can get this Achala Bhav, and finally they can practice devotional service. So Prabhupada writes, Narayan is the, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Narayan is the transcendental personality of Godhead beyond the material creation. Everything that is created, annihilated, sustained, it is within the compass of Mahat Tattva, and it is known as material world. The existence of Narayan is not within the jurisdiction of this Mahat Tattva. And as such, the name, the form, the attributes, etc. of Narayan are beyond the jurisdiction of material world. So by the empiric philosophy, which discerns matter from spirit, or, see, Prabhupada is paraphrasing his own purport, or by cultivation of, or his own translation, sorry, or by cultivation of mystic powers, which ultimately helps the performer to reach the planet, or beyond the universe, or by discharge of religious duties, one can achieve the highest perfection, provided one is able to reach the stage of Narayana Smriti. This is important. Constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. This is possible only by the association of pure devotee who can give the finishing touch to the transcendental activities of all the jnanis, yogis, and karmis in terms of their prescribed duties defined in the scriptures. So, Shanak Rishis, the 9 celebrated Yogendras, and of course, we have Prachin Barishat. None of the devotees of the Lord were deviated from the path of devotional service by taking to the other methods as adopted by Jnanis or Yogis. These Navi Yogendras, they were yogis. And these Shanakadi Rishis, they were Jnanis. And Prachin Barishat is a Karmi. And none of the devotees of the Lord ever deviated from the path of devotional service by taking to the other methods as adopted. So that is also one of the reasons where he says, Ante Narayana Smriti, that at the end of one's life, one has to practice this devotional service. Everyone is anxious to achieve the highest perfection of his particular activity. And it is indicated herein that such perfection is Narayana Smriti, for which everyone must endeavor his best. See, Ashtang Yogi, you cannot expect an Ashtang Yogi because their level is to see Paramatma in the heart of every living entity and of course in themselves. But to see that Paramatma is the highest that Ashtang Yogi can go. But even to go and see that Paramatma, if an Ashtang Yogi process, if an Ashtang Yogi just accepts yam, niyama, asana, pranayama, and dharana, then they cannot achieve, they cannot see, they cannot accomplish. What they have to do is have to reach to the level of samadhi. Only then it is possible. And how one can reach to the level of samadhi? With the constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. Only then they can achieve the highest perfection of the activity or the process they are following. So Prabhupada summarizes, in other words, life should be molded in such a manner that one is able to progressively remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every step of life. So whether you are karmi, jnani, or yogi, you have to have that tinge of bhakti in your life in order to achieve self-realization. Otherwise, it won't be possible. So, Janma labha parapumsa ante narayana smriti. I hope this verse is the memorizing verse, so you all can memorize it. Next verse. Prayena munayo rajan nivritta vedi sedata nirgunyastha ramante sma gunanu kathane hari. So now he's saying prayena. Prayena means generally it is observed. Sukhdev Goswami is saying, mainly, generally, it has been observed, O Rajan, O King, O Parikshit Maharaj, that the sages, Munaya, all the Munis, they are Nivritta. Nivritta means they are above. Above what? Vidhi Sedata. Vidhi means they are beyond the regulative principles. And Sedata means they are also above all kinds of restrictions. The Munis, mainly all the sages, generally he's saying, generally, Prayena, O Rajan, it is seen that the sages, they are above, those sages who are above the regulative principles and who are above the restrictions, who are basically nirgunya. Nirgunya means they are gunatit, they are transcendently situated, they are beyond the three gunas. They are, so those three, they are beyond the regulative principles, they are beyond restrictions, and they are beyond the three modes of material nature. Ramantecha, they take pleasure. Nirgunayastha ramantechsma. Okay, they take pleasure. Pleasure in what? Gunanu kathane hari. They are always describing the glories of Lord Hari. Guna kathane hari. Giving guna means the qualities of the Supreme Lord. Kathane means to speak. And Hari means of the Supreme Lord. But do they speak whimsically as they think? No. The word anu is added. Means they follow the footsteps of their previous acharyas. They just don't do it on their own. They just don't have any whimsical, any speculation thoughts towards the Supreme Lord. If they are describing the glories, it has to be Shastrik. If they are describing the glories of the Lord, it has to be done in the same manner as our previous acharyas have done. So therefore, the word anu refers to, it has various meanings. Constantly. Anu basically means to follow or to practice. But whom to follow? The previous acharyas. So, Prayena Muneyo Rajan. O Rajan, it has been seen that those sages who are above Nivritta, who are above all kind of regulative principles and restrictions, and who are Gunatit, who are beyond the three modes of material nature, the gunas, the three gunas, they find pleasure, Ramantecha, they seek pleasure in speaking, in describing gunas, the qualities of the Supreme Lord. And how? Anu kathane. Anu means that they will do it as recommended by the previous acharyas. Mahajena ye gata sopantha. They will always follow the footsteps of the previous acharyas or something that is shastrik, which is mentioned in the shastras. So the word guna, it has two meanings. Here it says nirgunya, means it is above the three modes of material nature. There guna means the modes. But when it says gunanu kathane hari, here it means the qualities. the qualities of the glories of the Supreme Lord. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji. O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord.
Thank you, Gauranga Prabhu. Your internet, I think, is slow, so the voice was lagging. But yes, you were able to read the translation completely. So they take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. See, the perfection is to realize the sweetness of the qualities and form of the Lord. That is far, far, far superior in merging the Brahman aspect. And this verse itself gives some proof to the realization of the Lord. And he says that those who are beyond rules and regulations, those who are also liberated, they also take pleasure in glorification of the Supreme Lord and not in happiness of merging into some impersonal Brahman. They don't merge, they don't achieve any happiness in Brahmananda, Ananda. There is happiness even in impersonal Brahman, but they don't seek. And even they reject mukti, the liberation. So the word generally, prayena, is used because there are some Jivan Muktas, there are some Jnanis, some yogis, they perform the glorification of the Supreme Lord. Yes, they will also glorify the qualities, but their hidden agenda is to merge into Brahman aspect. They do not take pleasure itself in glorifying, but they take this glorification of the Lord as a means to step on like a ladder and then finally merge into that impersonal Brahman. So for them, Krishna is saying, or Sukhdev Goswami is saying, it's not for them because they only think that they can get that ananda in that impersonal Brahman. They only think. They are so-called Jivan Muktas. They understand that the futility of this world. They understand that this world is not worth living. But at the same time, because they do not have any, they don't take pleasure in glorifying or in attachment towards the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, they don't achieve the perfection of their process. I hope I'm not confusing you all. So Sukhdev Goswami is saying there are certain people who want liberation from this Janma Mrityu, liberation from this cycle of birth and death. They follow the process of Jnana Marg or Ashtanga Marg, and they want the perfection of the process that they are following, whether it is Jnana Marg or Yoga Marg. And to get that perfection, what they do, they glorify the Supreme Lord. But their intention is not just to glorify the Supreme Lord. Their intention is that this glorification should be taken as a stepping stone so that they can step on that glorification of the Supreme Lord, and finally they merge into that impersonal Brahman. But that is not the aspiration of a devotee. A bhakta doesn't glorify the Supreme Lord just so that he can achieve some kind of mukti. A bhakta will glorify the Supreme Lord just for the sake of glorification of the Supreme Lord because he understands the sweetness of the Supreme Lord. So the perfection is to realize the sweetness, not to get something from the Supreme Lord. And those who think that they can glorify, they will not attain the perfection of their process. Therefore, there's a famous verse also by the demigods when they are doing Garbhastuti. They speak this. Means when they are paying obeisances to the womb of Mother Devaki, that Garbhastuti, there's a beautiful verse that comes in. Ye anya arvindaksha vimukta manina stvai ashta Ashtabhavad, Avishuddha Buddha. They have Avishuddha Buddha. Their intelligence is lost. It is not clear. It is not clear. Aruya Krichena. They may perform any kind of austerity or penances, parampadam tata, to achieve that parampadam, but patanti yadho anadritra, but they will fall down from their position. Why anadrita yushmadangra? Because they have rejected your lotus feet. They have no regard for their lotus feet. Anadrita, wo anadar karte hain. They just glorify you, but they glorify because they want some mukti or bhukti from you. That is their aim. Their agenda is not to glorify, but their agenda is something else. So, Prabhupada says they think themselves to be liberated. And so, from their so-called position of imagined superiority, they fall down from that place. Patanti adho. Otherwise, if somebody has reached that Brahman platform, they will not fall down, because reaching Brahman platform is also a mukti. And mukti means getting liberated from the cycle of birth and death. But then who falls down? Those who think that they are liberated, so-called Jivan Muktas. Right? This is how Prabhupada is explaining. So here he's saying mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions, they take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. They just don't describe the glories of the Lord as a stepping stone to merge into that Supreme Lord. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the topmost transcendentalist is a liberated soul and is therefore not within the purview of the regulative principles. A neophyte who is intended to be promoted to a spiritual plane is always guided by the spiritual master and under some regulative principles. He may be compared to a patient who is treated by various restrictions under medical jurisdiction. That is Vedi Bhakti. Generally, liberated souls who take pleasure in describing the transcendental activities. As mentioned above, since Narayan, Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation, and same his form and attributes, they are also not material. The topmost transcendentalist or the liberated souls realize him by advanced experience of transcendental knowledge, and therefore they take pleasure in the discussion of transcendental qualities of the Lord's pastimes. And Krishna also says, that Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam Yome Veti Tatvatah Taktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti Swarjana. Krishna says that my Janma and my Karma, it is divine, it is Divya. And anyone who discusses these topics, Taktva Deham Punarjanma, when they give up this body, they don't come back. They always go with one-sided ticket. He declares that his appearance and activities, they are all Divya. But the common man who is under the spell of material energy takes it for granted that the Lord is only one of us. And therefore, he refuses to accept the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. Avajananti mamuda manusham tanumashritam parambhava ajanantam mama bhutva maheshwara. They reject that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. The topmost transcendentalist is not interested in anything material, and his taking interest in the matter of the Lord's activities is definite proof that the Lord is not like one of us in this material world. So the highest perfection of transcendental realization is to take pleasure in hearing and describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord and not in merging into any impersonal Brahman. That is not the aim. The aim is to realize the sweetness of the Lord and then glorifying the sweetness of the Lord. Real transcendental pleasure is to realize in the glorification of the Lord and not in the feeling of being situated in his impersonal feature. But there are also others who are not those topmost transcendentalists, but in a lower status. These are vimukta maninas, those who think that they are liberated. They do not take pleasure in describing the activities of the Supreme Lord. Rather, they discuss such activities of the Lord formally with the aim of merging into his existence. See how beautifully Prabhupada has also mentioned this. That their aim is, you see, that's why Prabhupada says, don't hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a Vaishnava, from a person who is not a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava Mukhardagiram. One should not hear Bhagavat from the mouth of an Avaishnava. Because a Vaishnava, a person who is not a Vaishnava, will describe the glories of the Supreme Lord. But finally, the aim will be not in the glorification, but the aim will be in merging into that impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. And that is not the aim of a bhakta. The bhakta will always describe the transcendental activities and glories of the Supreme Lord because the bhakta is only interested in the sweetness. They don't have any other aim. They don't have any other agenda. They don't have this that, oh, I should get Golok Vrindavan, I should reach Golok Vrindavan, I should reach some Vaikuntha planet. No. No matter wherever Krishna keeps me, it doesn't matter. Only matter is that I should always be in the association of the devotees and I should always get the opportunity to describe and glorify the qualities and the form and the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. That's the only aim. That's the only agenda. But those who do not take pleasure in describing, they are in the lower status. And they discuss, they will also, you will see them also discussing about the activities of the Supreme Lord. But their aim is only in merging into the existence of the Supreme Lord. They have some hidden agenda. And therefore, Prabhupada warns us and tells that they are so-called Vimuktamaninas. They are so-called devotees who are always approaching into getting some kind of salvation. So he is warning us. So Sukdev Goswami is saying that always take pleasure. Gunanu kathane, anu kathane. And as described by or as followed by the previous acharyas, not on your own side. Text 8. There's so many chat messages and ignoring everything. Okay, Praladananda Prabhu is quoting so many.
Sorry, Mataji, I just wanted to share those ones.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Is it okay to do that, Mataji?
Yes,
It's not
Prabhuji,
disturbing.
definitely. No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Thank you,
Mataji.
Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yes, devotees, please take note of those chat messages also. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Sammitam Aditvan Dwaparadau Pitur Dwapayanadaham. Therefore, now he is saying, Sukdev Goswami is saying, Gunanu Kathane Hari, that you have to take pleasure in describing the glories of the Supreme Lord, but only in the association of devotees and as done by our previous acharyas. So Sukadev Goswami is saying, see, I am also not the one who is describing the glories of the Supreme Lord through my own whimsical thoughts. I have also studied this Bhagavat, this Idam Bhagavatam Nama, this so-called Purana, this Purana, that name of that Purana is Bhagavat Purana. This Bhagavat Purana is Brahma Sammitam, is the essence of all the Vedas. It's the sound incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And I have studied this, Adhitwan, I have myself studied under the guidance of Dwaparado, Pitur Dwapanayad Aham. I myself, Aham, have studied this Bhagavat Puran, which is Brahma Samhitam, which is the sound incarnation, which is approved as the essence of the Vedas. I myself have studied this by whom? Dwapanayat, by Dwapayana Vyasadev, my father, Pitur, he is my father, and I have studied this. And what time I have studied? Dwaparadav. So Dwaparadav refers to beginning. Now Dwapara means in the beginning of Dwapar Yuga? No, that doesn't mean. So Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually clarifies That what is this Dwapara Adau? Because Adau means beginning. And if we see Dwapar as a yuga, then at the beginning of Dwapar Yuga, Sukadev Goswami have studied this from Dwapanayat, means from his father, who is Dwapayana Vyasadev. Has he studied? No, because Krishna, Dwapayana Vyasadev have appeared in the last Sandhya of Dwapar Yuga. So every yuga has 3 Sandhyas. The first Sandhya means if it is Dwapar Yuga, then the first Sandhya will be when Treta ends and Dwapar starts. Okay. The second Sandhya is the middle, when the yuga is at its peak. And the third is the later part of that, where the next yuga is supposed to merge. So that is another Sandhya. But here, our Krishna Dwapayana, he appeared in the last Sandhya. In the last Sandhya of that Dwapar Yuga, means the third Sandhya, third part, later part, when Dwapar was about to end, has not ended, but is about to end, and Kali Yuga is supposed to start. So Dwapar Adau means the last part of Dwapar Yuga, but in that last part, the beginning of that last part. Hope you are getting it. So Dwapar Adau doesn't mean the beginning of Dwapar Yuga, but the beginning of the last part of Dwapar Yuga. I studied Dwapar Adau. I studied from my Pitur, from my father, who is Krishna Dwapayana Vyasa. Dwapanayat Aham. So I myself have studied this under the guidance of my father, and therefore I'll be speaking only through those realizations. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hmm.
At the end of the Dwapar Yuga, I studied this great supplement of Vedic literature named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas from my father, Srila Dvaipayana Vyasadeva.
Thank you, Sadam. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas, Brahma Samhitam, from my father, Pitur, Srila Dwapayana Vyasadeva. And why he is known as Dwapayana? So again, his complete name is Srila Krishna Dwapayana Vyasadeva. Krishna because he is the literal incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna, our Vyasadeva. And he is known as Dwapayana because Ayana again means to take shelter, and Dvipa means island. So he was born on that island. He took shelter of that island, and he was born to Parashar Muni and Satyavati. And Vyasa the word Vyasa refers to, in Hindi, Vyasa, in English, Vyasa is a diameter. Okay, Vyas is a diameter. Because he divided the Vedas into 4 equal halves. So if there is a circle and the line is drawn from one end to another, that is completed as 1 diameter. So 2 diameters. So he is known as Vyasa because he divided the Vedas into 4 equal halves. Right? So therefore, this is the meaning of his complete name, Srila Krishna Dvipayana Vyasadeva. The statement made by Srila Sukadeva Goswami that the topmost transcendentalist, who is beyond the jurisdiction of regulative principles, mainly takes the task of hearing. This is from the previous word. Now he is verifying it through his own personal example. Gunanu Kathane. Hari. So he's giving through his own example. He's saying, Sukadeva Goswami, being a recognized liberated soul and the topmost transcendentalist, was accepted by all the topmost sages who were present in that meeting during the last 7 days of Parikshit Maharaj. He cites from the example of his own life that he himself was attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord, and he studied Srimad Bhagavatam from his great father, Sri Dwapayana Vyasadeva. Srimad Bhagavatam, for that matter, or any other scientific literature cannot be studied at home by one's own intellectual capacity. Prabhupada says medical books of anatomy or psychology are available in the market, but no one can become a qualified medical practitioner simply by reading such books at home. One has to be admitted to some medical college and study the books under the guidance of some learned professors. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the postgraduate study of the science of Godhead. The graduate study is our Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Postgraduate study is the science of Godhead, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. One can be learned by studying at the feet of a realized soul like Vyasadeva. Therefore, in the previous verse, Sukdev Goswami says, Gunano Kathane Hari. Although Sukdev Goswami was a liberated soul from the very day of his birth, still he take lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam from his father Vyasadeva, who compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam under the instruction of another great soul, that is Narada Muni. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also instructed a learned Brahmana to study Srimad Bhagavatam from a personal Bhagavata. So there was one devotee who came to recite some verses in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And anyone who used to come to recite some verses or to show their poetic thing to Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have to go through Sarup Damodar Goswami. And our Sarup Damodar Goswami, when he heard these verses, so he was a very learned Brahmana from Bengal. And it was under the guidance of Bhagwan Acharya, who instructed him that, yes, you should recite these verses in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But you have to go through Srila Sarup Damodar Goswami. So as soon as he came and he recited, everybody said, wow, wow, so good, so good. But Sarup Damodar Goswami said, no, it's not. Because he quoted some verse, I'll not go into detail of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was not up to the mark. And therefore it was Sarup Damodar Goswami who instructed him, Jao Bhagavata Pado Vaishnavara Ekanta Ashray Kare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Charane. That you should go and study this Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of some realized personality. Jao Bhagavata Pado Vaishnava Sthane. Vaishnav ke sthan pe jaake kisi Vaishnav ke mukh se, means from the lotus mouth of a Vaishnava, you should study Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Ekanta Ashraya Kare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Charane. And then you will take the complete shelter under the lotus feet of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then your life will be successful. So this is how he is saying that even he was guided to go and study from a personal Bhagavata. So Srimad Bhagavatam is based on the transcendental name, form, attributes of the Supreme Lord, and it is spoken by the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, that is Vyasadeva. He is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, therefore his name is Sri Krishna Dwapayana Vyasa. Pastimes of the Lord are executed in cooperation with his pure devotees, and consequently historical incidents are mentioned in the great literature because they are related to Krishna. It is called Brahma Samhitam because it is the sound representative of Lord Shri Krishna. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord, but Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by the incarnation of the Lord, Srila Vyasadeva, about the activities and the devotees of the Supreme Lord. So here Prabhupada explains, therefore the word Dwaparado, Vyasadeva appeared at the end of Dwapar Yuga. See himself, Prabhupada is saying that he has appeared at the end of Dwapar Yuga. So Dwaparado doesn't mean at the beginning of Dwapar Yuga. How can Sukdev Goswami learn Srimad Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva in the beginning of Dwapar Yuga when Vyasadeva himself appeared at the end of Dwapar Yuga as the son of Satyavati? And therefore the term Dwapara Adau, or the beginning of Dwapar Yuga in this context, means just prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga, means the beginning of the last part of Dwapar Yuga. At that time, Sukadeva Goswami has heard. And the logic Prabhupada explains, see, such a beautiful logic Prabhupada gives. The logic of this statement, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, is compared is comparable to that of calling the upper portion of the tree the beginning. So when you sow a seed and the plant comes out, what we see is the plant, the small sapling, and that we see as a beginning. But is it the beginning? No. The root of the tree is the beginning. First, when you sow the seed, the roots come out. So they are the beginning. But we don't acknowledge it as the beginning because we don't see it. What we see is the small sapling that comes out, and we say it as a beginning. But in the common knowledge, the upper portion of the tree is first seen, therefore we call it as a beginning. But actually the root of the tree is the beginning. In that way, the end of the tree is accepted as the beginning. Therefore, Dwaparado. At the beginning of the last part of Dwapara Yuga. Okay, hope that is clear. Text 9. Okay, so Damini Mataji, you have some question?
Mataji, I am trying to understand this tree analogy. So I was thinking, please correct me if it's wrong. I was thinking like when a soul enters a mother's womb, it is the beginning of his journey. But we call it is the beginning of his journey in this material world. But we call happy birthday only when the soul takes birth. So is this analogy relatable?
Yes, why not? Very nice. Very nice. See, this is the realization. Yes, very true. When the soul literally comes out from the body of a mother, the body comes out, then we call it as happy birthday. But actually, the birth has already happened in the womb when the soul enters. Very nice. Nice, Sadamini. Okay, so we'll go ahead with text number 9. Parinishthito. Yes, Praladananda.
Karmana Dev Netrena Jantur Deho Papate. That is also another. That's when because the male sperm carries the spirit soul, and that's where the zygote forms, and that's where the real story of the spirit soul begins. That's what medically related it is. I remember.
Very true. Very true. But we celebrate when the soul literally comes out from the womb. We celebrate at that time. Nice analogy. So you understood what is Dwaparada. At the beginning of the last part of Dwapar Yuga, when Sukadev Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of his father, studied it properly, and now he's saying, under his guidance only, Gunanu Kathane Hari, I will be glorifying the Supreme Lord. परिनिष्ठितोऽपि नैर्गुण्या उत्तमश्लोकलीलया गृहीतचेतराजस्य आख्यानां यद् अधीतवान्. As I have studied, adhitavan, as I have studied from my father, Srila Vyasadev, Akyanam, I will be describing the glories. Parinishthitopi nairgunya, uttama shloka leelaya. So now, fully realized. Parinishtita means now he has accomplished, he has fully realized and is describing the glories of that Supreme Lord, Uttama Shloka Leelaya. He'll be describing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, who is known as Uttama Shloka, and the pastimes, the shlokas that describe those pastimes of the Supreme Lord are also Uttama, because they're describing the personality of the Godhead. So therefore, the two meanings of Uttama Shloka, we have seen in the previous. So he's saying, I was still very attracted. I was attracted. He's telling about himself, Sukhdev Goswami. Grihita Cheta, O Rajan, O King, I was attracted by seeing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And those pastimes were described in Uttama Shloka, in the enlightened verses or in the greatest verses. And also the pastimes of Uttama Shloka. Two meanings. And as I got attracted, now I will be speaking, Akhyanam, I will be speaking those glories, Yad Aditvan, as I have studied under the guidance of my father. Somebody can read the translation.
Can I read, Mataji?
Go ahead, Satyam Prabhu.
O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we all know that how Sukadev Goswami was also a Brahmavadi. As soon as he took birth from the womb of his mother, he started walking. And then he walked in the forest, and finally Srila Vyasadeva made the arrangements of sending his disciples to call him back. And then he studied Srimad Bhagavatam under the guidance of Srila Vyasadeva. After studying those beautiful verses, the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, then he got attracted to the personal form of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So I know many devotees, they also have this understanding that there were two verses that Vyasadeva sent his disciples to Sukadev Goswami in the forest. One verse was Barha Pidam Natavaravan. That one that describes the external beauty of the Supreme Lord. And the second verse is Ahobaki Stan Sanakala Kutam, describing the inner beauty of the Supreme Lord, that how he gave the position of a nurse to a woman who came to poison Krishna. But Krishna just saw not the intention of Putana, but also the action of the Putana, because action was that she was breastfeeding Krishna as a mother does. So Krishna saw that motherly feeling in the heart of Putana, in the action, not the intention. Intention was to kill, but the action was that she was feeding the child as the mother feeds the child. So these two verses he heard, and then he came back and he studied Srimad Bhagavatam. There are other acharyas who refers to other verses. So as such, there is, at least I was not able to find any evidence of it, that which were those two verses or which were those verses that brought Sukadev Goswami back. But in nutshell, what Srimad Bhagavatam says is that Sukadev Goswami himself is telling that I was also situated in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord. Delineation means by the outline or the sketch, you can say, what he heard about the pastime of the Supreme Lord. Now, which two verses or which few verses or which verses he heard, there is no evidence. But he heard verses, and therefore he was attracted to study nicely under the guidance of his father. So the absolute truth is realized at the first instance as the impersonal Brahman by philosophical speculation, and later as the supersoul by further progress. But if by the grace of the Lord an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, he can also convert it into a transcendental devotee of the Supreme Lord. The example of four Kumaras who were also Brahmavadis, the example of Srila Sukadev Goswami, who was also a Brahmavadi, who was a transcendentalist, but is only interested in the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord. But when heard Srimad Bhagavatam, or in the case of four Kumaras, when they smell the aroma that comes out from the lotus feet, the tulsi that was there on the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, they got personalized. They got the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord, and they got attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. So with a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of the absolute truth. And therefore, the personal activities of the Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalist. But reasons and arguments, together with the transcendental process approaching the absolute truth, help even the staunch impersonalist to become attracted to the personal activities of the Supreme Lord. A person like Sukadev Goswami cannot be attracted to by any mundane activity. Can he be? No. Why? Because he himself was a transcendentalist. So he cannot be attracted by any mundane activity. But when such a devotee is convinced by a superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. And the Lord is transcendental as his activities. He's neither an active nor impersonal. So when the Supreme Lord is personal, naturally his activities are also personal. They carry the personal attribute. And when somebody hears those from a bona fide source, from a bona fide spiritual master, naturally they'll get attracted to the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord. So now Sukdev Goswami gave his own personal example that when I say Gunanu Kathane Khari, when you have to glorify the Supreme Lord, then I myself have first studied Srimad Bhagavatam, and now Akhyana, I am here to describe those glories. Tam aham te bhi ab tad aham te bhi dashyami mahapaurishiko bhavan yasya shraddhatamasu syan mukunde matistati. So now Sukdev Goswami is saying that I, Abhishyami, I shall now recite to you. To you, to whom? To Mahapaurushaka Bhavan. O Bhavan, O your good self. In a very, what you say, in a very respectful manner, he is saying Bhavan. So Bhavan is normally used for some superiors. So definitely Parikshit Maharaj was not, but because he was a king, he respected Sukdev Goswami with great respect, calling him Bhavan, unto your good self, who is Mahapaurushaka. You are like a Mahapurusha. Now, who is Mahapurusha? Actually, Krishna is Mahapurusha. Prabhupada will be quoting those two verses in the purport that describes that how Krishna is Mahapurusha. But he is saying that you are also Mahapaurushiko. Why? Because you are the greatest and the sincere devotee of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord is devotees of the Supreme Lord, they are also Mahapaurushiko. So he is calling him as Mahapurush. Yasya Shraddhatam Asu. Now you should hear it with full respect, with full attention, with full Shraddha. And then what will happen? When you hear the Srimad Bhagavatam with full Shraddha, having that unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, then you will get liberation, because he himself is known as Mukunda Mati. He is Mukunda Mati Sati. Mukunda refers to the Supreme Lord, who is the giver of liberation. Therefore, his name is Mukunda. He is the one who awards salvation. So Mati means faith and Sati means with unflinching. So with unflinching faith and Shraddha, attention, when you hear about the Srimad Bhagavatam, then he's saying, I am the one who is going to recite unto you. Somebody can read the translation to make it more clear.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam. I can read it.
Yeah, go ahead, Madhuri.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. Hare Krishna.
So one should hear the Srimad Bhagavatam with unflinching faith. Thank you, Madhuri. So Prabhupada gives this two pantha, or the process by which one can hear Srimad Bhagavatam. He is saying Srimad Bhagavatam is recognized Vedic wisdom, and the system of receiving Vedic knowledge is Avaroha Pantha, or the process of receiving transcendental knowledge through bona fide disciplic succession. So one is Aroha Pantha and another is Avaroha Pantha. Avaroha Pantha is the descending process. Just as the water falls from higher to lower. That is our descending process, from higher to lower. This knowledge is coming. Krishna gave it to Brahma, to Narada, to Vyasa, and this disciplic succession. That is the way to receive this transcendental knowledge. This is Avaroha Pantha. Another is Aroha Pantha, where on your own you ascend. That is the ascending process. But to study Srimad Bhagavatam, the only process is Avaroha Pantha, that is through descending process. There is, for advancement of material knowledge, there is a need of personal ability and researching aptitude. But in the case of spiritual knowledge, see, in the material knowledge, you do some researches, and that is Aroha Pantha. Gradually, you delineate one step, then you go to another, then you finally find some solution and you ascend. That is how you advance in material knowledge from grade 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally graduate. But in the spiritual knowledge, all progress depends only on the mercy of the spiritual master. That is Avaroha Pantha. The spiritual master must be satisfied with the disciple. Only then this knowledge automatically manifests before the student of the spiritual science. Such an important point. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. How it gets revealed in the heart? Only if the spiritual master is satisfied. In the verse 434 of Bhagavad Gita, Tadviti Pranipatena Pariprashrena Sevaya, that verse, Prabhupada writes that the spiritual advancement of the disciple is directly proportional to the satisfaction of the spiritual master. I'm just paraphrasing it. But he says that the spiritual advancement is possible only when the spiritual master is satisfied. So here also, Prabhupada is saying the spiritual master must be satisfied with the disciple. Only then this knowledge is automatically manifested in the heart of the student who is of the spiritual science. The process should not, however, be misunderstood to be something like magical feats. Don't think that some magic will happen. Okay, initiation day. Yes, the disciple is ready to surrender. And the spiritual master hands over the beads. And while handing over the beads, some magic happens and all the spiritual science is revealed in the heart of the devotee. He is not a magician, that he injects some spiritual knowledge by some electric current. No, that won't happen. The bona fide spiritual master reasonably explains everything to the disciple on the authorities of Vedic wisdom. The disciple can receive such teachings not exactly intellectually, but by submissive inquiries and a service attitude. Pariprashnena sevaya. Very, very important. That seva, that vapu seva, and then submissive inquiries, not challenging inquiries, will make the disciple's heart fertile enough for the spiritual master to see the seed of devotion. And slowly and gradually, when that disciple nourishes that seed with his own chanting and hearing the process under the guidance of the spiritual master, that seed will fructify and will grow into a sapling. The idea is that both the spiritual master and the disciple must be bona fide. In this case, the spiritual master was Sukhdev Goswami. He is ready to recite exactly what he heard from his father Vyasadeva. Maharaj Parikshit is also a great devotee. He is Mahapaurushika. He is a Mahapurusha, is a great devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. And a devotee of Lord Krishna believes sincerely that becoming a devotee of the Lord, one becomes fully equipped with everything spiritual. The teaching is imparted by Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita. So here Sukhdev Goswami says, the unflinching faith in Lord Shri Krishna prepares one to become a student of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when one hears Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee like Sukhdev Goswami, is sure to attain salvation as the end, as Maharaj Parikshit did. So the process is foolproof. The process is foolproof. But the only thing is, our faith should also be very, very firm, very, very convicted. If our faith is shaken, if we don't have that Shraddha in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then Srimad Bhagavatam will not reveal itself. For Srimad Bhagavatam to show the results as Parikshit Maharaj got, we will also get. The point is, first of all, we have to have faith in the process, and we have to have faith and conviction in studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Then the result will be the same. As Maharaj Parikshit got salvation, we will also get salvation. But the point is, do we hear Srimad Bhagavatam with the same attention that Maharaj Parikshit did? If not, then we are no one to blame Srimad Bhagavatam or to blame the process for that matter. Then it's our fault. We are the one who are lacking that attention and that faith and that conviction in the process as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam and the pseudo devotees whose faith is based on 1 week's hearing are different from Sukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Yes, Sukdev Goswami also recited Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days. And today also we have so many pseudo devotees who conducts these Bhagavat Saptaha. Looks like same, but the intention is different because they are doing it for some livelihood, arranging for so many kirtaniyas and then telling Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyway, I'll not say anything about anybody. But yes, there are devotees who are just doing Srimad Bhagavatam, but at the back end, they are doing it only for their own livelihood. That was not the case for Sukdev Goswami. Sukdev Goswami didn't earn a penny while reciting a Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days to Parikshit Maharaj. And neither Parikshit Maharaj offered anything. What Sukdev Goswami said in those 7 days was his realization that he studied under the guidance of his father. And what Parikshit Maharaj gave was his full attention. That was what Sukdev Goswami was looking for. Srila Vyasadeva explained Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukdev Goswami from the very beginning of Janmadasya verse. And so Sukdev Goswami also explained the same to the king. Lord Krishna is described as Mahapurusha in the Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the 2 beautiful verses. Deyam sada paribhavagnam abhishtadoham tirthaspadam shiva virinchinutam sharanyam vrityartiham pranatapala bhavabdibodham vande mahapurusha te charanaravindam. This is referred to Sri Krishna. This is referred to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. And this verse, next verse, refers even to Lord Rama. Taktva sudishtaja suripshita raja lakshmi dharmishtha arya vachasa yad agadaranyam maya mrigam daitaipshitam anatavat vande mahapurusha te charnaravilnai. Very 2 beautiful verses. If I explain these 2 verses, one verse itself is one class. And another verse is another class. So we'll not go through. This comes in the 11th canto. You can study Srila Jiva Goswami's detailed commentary that the disciples of Srila Prabhupada have quoted. Because this is from the 11th canto and Prabhupada did translation and purport only till 10th canto, chapter 14. So after that, it is all the work of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada who have given such extensive purports by arranging the commentary of all the acharyas. So yes, who is Mahapurusha? Who is the supreme enjoyer? And Krishna is the Mahapurusha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Rama, they are the Mahapurusha. But anyone who hears Srimad Bhagavatam attentively from a bona fide reciter is sure to become a sincere devotee of the Lord. Yeah, sorry, this line. One who deserves to approach the Supreme Lord is also a Mahapurusha. So yes, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he is Mahapurusha, but one who deserves to approach that Supreme Lord, he is also Mahapaurushika. And therefore, Sukdev Goswami tells him, Tat iham hi badishyami Mahapaurushiko bhavan. Oh Parikshit Maharaj, your good self, you are Mahapaurushika, and I am here to recite this Srimad Bhagavatam unto you. So there was no one attentive as Parikshit Maharaj in hearing, and no one was qualified as Sukdev Goswami to recite the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone who follows in the footsteps of either the ideal reciter or ideal hearer, Sukdev Goswami or Maharaj Parikshit respectively, will undoubtedly attain salvation like them. So the epitome of Shravanam is Parikshit Maharaj, and epitome of Kirtanam, the second process among the Navavida Bhakti, the 9 processes, is our Sukdev Goswami, Kirtanam. So he's saying if anyone follow the footsteps of any of these two, but in full sense, then they will undoubtedly attain salvation like them. Maharaj Parikshit attained salvation just by hearing, and Sukadev Goswami attained salvation just only by reciting. So in the Padma Puran, it is mentioned that Gautama Muni advised Ambrish Maharaj to hear Srimad Bhagavatam as it was recited by Sukadev Goswami. So Ambrish Maharaj also heard from the beginning to the end the same Srimad Bhagavatam as it was spoken by Sukadev Goswami. The one who is actually interested in the Bhagavatam, therefore, must not play with it by reading or hearing a portion from here and there, a portion from there. No, one must follow the footsteps of great kings like Maharaj Ambrish or Maharaj Parikshit and hear it from a bona fide spirit representative of Sukadev Goswami and in Krama, means from one canto to another. Not here and there, okay, I took the 6th canto, then 8th canto, then 9th canto, or the 10th canto. Right from the beginning of the first canto, Siddhanta Chitta Baliyana Karalas, Ya Haite Krishna Lage Sudridmanas. We may exclude the study of Srimad Bhagavatam from the first canto and the second canto, realizing that, oh, this is too technical, or it's just the basis. I'm interested in the pastimes. Let me read Dhruv Charitra. Let me read Prahlad Charitra. Yes, it's very good. But it is good for those who are simply who have studied Srimad Bhagavatam from the page to page, from first canto to the last canto, starting from Janmadasya to the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. For them, it's okay. But those who are studying it for the first time, it is recommended that one should study in a very canto-wise, first canto to 12th canto, like in the footsteps of great kings like Parikshit Maharaj or Ambarish Maharaj. I was planning to do this 11th verse also, but this 11th verse has a long purport that also describes the 10 Nama Prad. So we will not cover that 11th verse, but what I will do is I'll just, let Mataji only cover. I'll not even read the verse. So we'll stop here because only 4 minutes are left. And let's see if we have any comments, any questions. Yes, Saudamini Mataji, I see your hand raised.
Oh, Mataji, it was earlier, sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Mataji, I had a question about where we said that one should only study from Jao Bhagavata
Bhagavata Pado Vaishnavasthana.
Vaishnavasthane, that one should only study from a Vaishnava and just not, like, if they just continue reading on their own. So when we distribute Prabhupada's Bhagavatam set, if they have not met devotee but they read from Prabhupada's purports, is that considered equal to reading from a Vaishnava Sthane?
Of course. Prabhupada's purports are for what? Prabhupada has given these verses, these purports, which he calls him as transcendental ecstasies. So Prabhupada has given these purports so that we can understand in the right context.
Okay, so they are let's say they are reading on their own, but they have not yet met a spiritual master or pure devotee, but is it as good as?
It is as good because they are studying from Prabhupada's purport and Prabhupada is a pure devotee. Provided they study the purport too.
Yeah.
If they just read only the Sanskrit or translation and go on and on and on and not study Prabhupada's purport, then that is not good. You should study Srila Prabhupada's purport to understand the right perspective of that verse.
But so then after that, the hope is that eventually they seek a spiritual master. Because that pariprashnena sevaya won't happen just by one way reading, right?
No. They have to have a spiritual master, the living guru, as Prabhupada says.
Okay.
Yes. But
Yes, if
Srila
they
Prabhupada,
sincerely read, then Krishna will only guide
of
them, right?
course, yes, through the mercy of Krishna only one gets a spiritual master, and through the mercy of spiritual master one gets to know Krishna. So as you said, Mataji is right, that one has to have the spiritual master to understand the purports of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. But at the same time, Prabhupada's purport are also equivalently potent. And then because Prabhupada is a pure devotee, so his purport, coming in touch with Srila Prabhupada's purport is coming in touch with Srila Prabhupada directly. But to come in touch with Srila Prabhupada's purport, also you need the mercy of a spiritual master. Otherwise, who will guide us to study? So we have to have the spiritual master in our life. But at the same time, those who are studying Srila Prabhupada's purport and studying Srimad Bhagavatam, it's equally good coming in contact with a pure devotee.
Thank you.
See, Srila Prabhupada also, I'll tell you, when he was in Radha Damodar, Prabhupada wrote this translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. You all know that in Jalduta he carried the first 3 volumes. So he was in Radha Damodar, and there was by no means he could print those purports that he have written to the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he was thinking how these, what I have written, how these will get published, because there was no money. So now Prabhupada has given Bhagavatam as well as the translation. See, Bhagavat is same. Translation may also be the same. But Prabhupada has given the purports to it, so that one can study it properly and understand the right perspective of that verse. So Prabhupada, he went to Hanuman Prasad Poddar. You know that, how he is also a great personality. Srila Hanuman Prasad Poddar, also known as Bhaiji. This is Gita Press. So Gita Press has the first Bhagavatam printed. And that's a big, voluminous book, Bhagavatam in Hindi, which has only the verses and the translation. So when Srila Prabhupada met Srila Bhaiji, this Hanuman Prasad Poddarji, then he asked him that, this is the Bhagavatam that I have written. And Srila Hanuman Prasad Poddar was so happy, that Bhaiji was so happy that this is what I was looking for, he said to Prabhupada, that you have written it so extensively, so nicely, and with the purpose, with the explanation, with the commentary, and that too in English language. He was so happy that he arranged for the printing of those first 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam. That Srila Prabhupada carried when he came to West. So yes, our gratitude should also extend to Gita Press, because it was under the guidance, under the permission of Srila Hanuman Prasad Poddarji that Srila Prabhupada was able to print these first volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is how our Bhagavatam came in, and it was very nicely accepted by other sampradayas also and other acharyas also, because the work of Srila Prabhupada was definitely great. Before that, nobody has written like Prabhupada wrote. And it is only after when Srila Prabhupada wrote Srimad Bhagavatam with his wonderful purports that made so many people around the world the devotees of the Lord. Otherwise, Bhagavatam was there before also. But Prabhupada's purport touched their heart, and therefore they became the devotees of Lord Shri Krishna. This was just an addition. Yes. Who else is there? Yes,
Now
Madhura. Yes, Sadamani Mataji, you want to say?
Yeah, Mataji, now I raised my hand. Mataji, what you were saying, these things are, I saw in Abhacharan serial also, these episodes are there. Very nice.
Yes.
I had one question, Mataji, regarding the last shloka. We know that Bhagavatam, Dwapara Adu, there was compiled. It appeared from Sukdev Goswami. So Maharaj Ambarish also heard Bhagavatam. So at that time, in what form Bhagavatam was there? Was it Shruti only?
In Padma Purana, it is mentioned that Gautama Muni, he advised Maharaj Parikshit to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly as it was recited by Sukadev Goswami. And herein it is confirmed that Amrish Maharaj also heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning to the end as it was spoken by Sukadev Goswami. So looks like only in Shruti, yes.
I was a little curious.
Yes. But from whom he heard that even I am not aware of. That who recited Srimad Bhagavatam to Amrish Maharaj, but he heard it only on the advice of Gautama Muni.
Yeah, because generally we know, Mata, like Brahma told Narad Muni told Vyasadeva, but the chain also is there other way also, no? It is not the only chain.
No, of course. That's not the only thing.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, Madhura Maikeshi, Madhura.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for the beautiful class. Yeah, Tulsi Gopi Mataji asked a similar question what I was asking, but it was slightly different for me. So it was about my self-study, right? Because we are also doing Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya, so we read it on our own also. And those cantos are like ahead of this, what we are doing here under your guidance and Mataji's guidance. So is that okay? And we are also reading Prabhupada's Purport, but it might not be under a guru that time, right? Like,
no, but your Guru's blessings is always there, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Guru's blessings are there, and now you are studying Srimad Bhagavatam and studying Srimad Bhagavatam along with the purport of Srila Prabhupada, so it's 100% bona fide.
Right. Okay. But yeah, we'll get more realizations when we read it under the guidance, definitely. I mean, that I also feel. The difference is there.
Difference is there, but ultimately the mercy is there of the spiritual master. So when the mercy of the spiritual master is there and the spiritual master is happy, then the text itself will reveal a lot of realizations. You don't have to struggle for it. It will get revealed.
Okay, Mataji. And second part is not exactly a question, but my understanding. So like how Shukdev Goswami ji. So he is also saying, giving his own example that first I studied it under someone and then now I'm speaking this, right? So, I mean, this is a lesson for us also, right? Before even we attempt to speak, we should have scrutinizingly studied it under the guidance of a spiritual master or Shiksha Guru or someone, right?
Yes.
And then only we should share the knowledge with others.
Yes.
Because we might not have the right understanding otherwise.
Yes, very true.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Madhuri.
Thank you, Madurai. I really like your sincerity in studying. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu, please add.
Mataji. No, I just wanted to share that there are beautiful classes going on by Veda Varsity regarding reading Bhagavatam, 21-day Bhagavatam. So yeah. So eh, today's lecture by I forget the name of Prabhuji, but excellent. The same thing how we should read Bhagavatam. What should we do? And detailed. And he's one of the GBC for Europe somewhere. And he's a teacher also. So he has given very nice, it's on YouTube also, if you go to Veda Varsity. And exactly Braj Sundar Prabhu, who is conductor of all this from Govardhan there. So I urge everyone to to at least listen to this lecture today because it's pertaining to what we discussed today. How to read Bhagavatam and how you can get all the purports Atasi Krishna Namadi, all that. So it was so good, and that's why I just wanted, because I heard it twice today.
Krishna
It was so
Prem
good.
Hare
Rupa.
Krishna Prabhu, please share it in the group, Prabhu, so
That's
we'll also hear.
okay.
Or in the
Yeah, I'll
so
put
that
it.
the link, if you put, we all also will be benefited. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
I'll put the YouTube link there. But it's so beautiful. For 21 days, great orators from all over the world, they are going to give lectures in the morning, right? And they are about one sloka of
Morning
each
for
Bhagavatam.
US timings, and I think so it's 7 to 8 p.m. in India timings.
India, yeah, like that.
Oh, great.
So it is so.
Yeah.
Vedavarsity@mingle.com. Yeah, I'll put down all this. But
Yeah.
it's so good.
Today's class was by Krishna Prem Rupa Prabhu, right?
Prem Rusi, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he was such a great kind of,
He's
I
the
was so much
GBC of
inspired.
Europe. Yeah, GBC
Yeah,
of
that's it.
Europe.
And
Great.
tomorrow, before the class begins, Braj Sundar Prabhu was saying that they are going to give brief kind of note how to read Bhagavatam, how to take notes, and how to memorize slokas. All these details they are going to give. This is what he announced today. So please, everyone, listen or log in at 6 a.m. because class starts at 6:30, and they easily go over 100. So may not be able to participate.
No,
So
it will be
do that.
because it's more than 200, 500, the Zoom capacity is.
Oh,
So,
now they have put it like that? Yeah, because yesterday I could not. Yeah, anyway. But that will be good then. All right. So this is just I wanted to share, Mata. Everybody should take advantage of it. Such a great knowledge, all very erudite scholars. Where do I have time to read all these things? And they are giving ready-made kind of experience about how to study Bhagavatam and all that. So that's so good like that. I just wanted to share that matter. So I think most of us must be doing that, but those who are not doing, they should do that because it's so good. Because Prabhupada has written all these things, but we are not in touch with our guru most of the time. This that, and they get the quintessence of how to proceed like that. So that's what I just want to share, Mata. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. And tomorrow's, I think so, will be Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He will be giving the class. Today for
Hare Krishna,
India.
Mataji.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Mataji, pranam.
No, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
had one question, Mataji, on the text 7. It speaks about on the purport Sanakadi rishis and 9 celebrated yogendras, right? Is like I just wanted to understand the context. Like they were all like impersonalists, and became devotees after performing devotional service. Is that what refers to?
Yeah.
Just wanted to get some context, Mataji.
Yes, Mother. Because Sukadev Goswami, he was also Brahmavadi. Shaunakadi Rishi they were Brahmavadis. They were also, means they were into that impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. They were not attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. And same, because now these are the Gyanis. So Prabhupada gives, Sukadev Goswami gives 3 lines, right? Gyanis, Yogis, and Karmis. For Gyanis, he gives the example of Shanakadi Rishis, all the 4 Sanak Kumaras. And for yogis, he gives the example of Navayogendras, the sons of Bharat Maharaj. And then the Karmis, he gives the example of Prachin Parishad, who was later guided by Shri Narad Muni. When Narad Muni came and gave him that allegorical story of Prachi, of that Puranjana, he explained. And through that, he became a pure devotee. So point is not just the impersonal aspect, but these are the 3 processes that are being explained, that Gyanis, Yogis, and Karmis. And Sukadev Goswami is giving the examples of all these 3. Means Prabhupada in his purport is giving the examples of all these 3, that how they also achieved the perfection of their process, but only by coming in contact with the pure devotees of the Lord. Hope that
Thank
helps.
you, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Anything else? Now let me go through. Okay, Prabhupada, Praladhananda Prabhu has given a lot of verses, so you all can take the note of all those verses. Nothing else is there, right?
Mataji, I just put that link there here also in WhatsApp also. I mean, our group
Chat.
about this lecture in the morning. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, thank you, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for your association. So we will stop here. I don't see any other further raised hands. We'll stop here and we'll see you all on Tuesday. Okay? Thank you all so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, all the assembled Vaishnavas ki jai.
Yeah.
Kritika Sundari Mataji ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Gaurav. Hare Krishna, ending the call.